Alright, you lot, grab your coffee, crack your knuckles, and turn your bullshit filters to max. Gaming industry's leaking from every orifice, and I'm here to mop it up with sarcasm and salt. AI art in your Roman Empire, Ubisoft blaming you for their failures, Zelda's movie doing cosplay without context, and multiplayer turning into dopamine daycare. Welcome to Gaming Hellwire, where every headline gets what it deserves. Right, first up, Ubisoft. Yeah, again. Because clearly mediocrity has loyalty card and they've got platinum points. This week, they've admitted that Anno 117 Pax Romana, a game about building a glorious Roman Empire, shipped with a fucking AI-generated image plastered right into thing. Not as an experiment, not as a concept sketch. Nah, this steaming pile of Uncanny Valley went live cause, in their words, slipped through our review process. What review process, lads? A blindfold and a bingo machine. Image, spotted by players in a loading screen, were classic AI slop. Mangled limbs, melted faces, chaos in background like Photoshop threw up in Latin. It's screen placeholder, louder than the Ubisoft shareholder meeting screams cost cutting. They tried to palm it off as an accident. Oopsie, didn't mean to let Skynet finger paint of at Roman Empire. But come on, this is same Ubisoft still trying to reboot its rep after years of copy-paste franchises and HR disasters. You can't afford this kind of amateur hour. Let me be clear, it's not just that it happened, it's where it happened. Anno ain't some flashbang shooter where players won't notice scenery. It's a city building nerd haven where art is part of hook, where detail matters, and they served up AI mush instead of handcrafted aesthetic fans pay for. That's like ordering a prime steak and getting a microwave burger with hand prepped written in biro. Ubisoft swears that Anno team is the biggest ever art team, and their AI is only used for prototyping. Then how hell does prototype end up in live product? You can't brag about your artisan bread while stuffing it with factory filler. This is exactly how trust erodes. You start replacing artistry with algorithms. You stop noticing when magic's missing until someone on Reddit spots it and your PR team's on DEFCON 1. Here's the deal. You can use AI for drafting, testing and mocking up ideas, fine. But second that Frankenstein sketch makes into shipping build, you've crossed line. You've sold illusions of craftsmanship, delivered illusionist dummy, and charged 50 quid for privilege. Ubisoft says they'll patch it in 1.3. Good, but maybe patch your bloody pipeline too. But next big project ends up looking like Mid-Journey through a toga party. Speaking of Ubisoft, they doubled down with fresh excuse buffet in the latest investor call, blaming you, gamer, for their current sales nosedive. They told investors that one reason their shiny new titles are face planting is cause consumers are playing fewer games. Oh really? That's your excuse now? Not our games are getting stale, not we've rinsed our franchises to death, but players just aren't playing enough? Listen, lads, that's not introspection, that's deflection dressed up as analytics. It's corporate version of, it's not you, it's me. Except we all know damn well, it's you. They said gamers are playing fewer games, but playing them longer. Translation, nobody's buying our latest crap, cause they're still knee deep in Baldur's Gate 3 or modding Skyrim for 87th time. Maybe instead of crying into your shareholder calls, ask why people aren't choosing Ubisoft stuff to stick with. Maybe it's cause once you've seen one Ubisoft map icon orgy, you've seen them all. Maybe it's cause every time you launch something new, it's got more bugs than a crack house floorboard. Let's call it what it is. Panic in a tailored suit. Ubisoft's worried because their usual formula ain't working anymore. Assassin's Creed fatigue? Far Cry 5 times over? Division still pretending it's relevant? And you're shocked when we're not queuing up for next one? They go on about volatility and unpredictability. Yeah, no shit it's unpredictable. Because your games have become background noise. You've trained your audience to expect same template over and over, and just enough paint slapped on to pass it off as new. So when numbers dip, it's not market chaos, it's gamer clarity. We're tired of paying 60 quid for content that feels like it were built in 2016 and left to ferment. And let's not ignore irony, they're releasing fewer games this year too, and acting like that's a gamer trend, not a publishing decision. No lads, that's your own content pipeline coughing up smoke, and you're trying to blame us for fire. I'll give them this, they're half right. People are playing fewer games, they're just being more selective. They're waiting for greatness, not wallpaper with microtransactions. So if Ubisoft wants to survive this so-called shift in habits, they better do more than recycle mechanics and polish menus. they better earn the way back in. Because we've got less time, less patience, and way less tolerance for excuses wrapped in a press release. And speaking of sacred franchises getting dragged into modern media meat grinders, let's talk Zelda, live-action movie adaptation that just dropped its first batch of photos. And they look good. Too good. Suspiciously good. Like, look over here while we don't show you plot. Good. We've got Bo Bragason as Zelda in a Breath of Wild style blue getup. We've got Benjamin Evan Ainsworth rocking Link green tunic and Elpheus like a bloody Comic Con champion. Hyrule Field vibes? Check. Bow and quiver? Check. Perfect cosplay? Absolutely. And that's problem. These photos feel like they're doing all heavy lifting. Nintendo and Sony are banking on look to self-feel. It's all costumes, aesthetics, nostalgia porn, but with substance, with soul, with story. Because right now, only thing they've shown us is a pair of actors dressed in childhood memories, stood in front of a grass hill. We've been here before, haven't we? Halo at hype, photo drops, marketing drip feed. Then film arrives and you realise all budget went into trailer and none of it into respect source material. Remember Halo? Assassin's Creed? Warcraft? Yeah, don't act like your cinematic trauma is healed. And Zelda? Zelda's not just any game. It's a legend, one with art containers, puzzle shrines, and silence that says more than 10 Netflix monologues. You don't just adapt Zelda, you resurrect it. You rebuild its mythos in a way that don't cheapen it with slow-mo sword fights and MCU one-liners. They're drawing hard from Breath of Wild, at least visually, which could be genius, or it could be a warning. That game had space, silence, curiosity. Film directors hate that. They fill it with explosions and part jokes. If this turns into a plot-heavy CGI blasted lore dump with a side of Link learns to believe in himself, I'm out. Nintendo's playing coy. They won't show its story, tone, voice, just pictures. Like a kid bringing the sketchbook to class and hoping you don't ask them to read out loud. It's not confidence, it's marketing theatre. Here's my fear. It looks great now, cause it's meant to. It's got all set dressings of Zelda experience. But if they don't nail tone, rhythm, pacing, magic, then we're looking at another wasted adaptation and a pile of shattered game of dreams. I want to believe, but I've been hurt before. So until we see more than costumes and promo shots, colour me cautiously cynical. Right, you know what time it is? Game Awards nominee list is out. Jeff, hype man in a suit Keeley, has done his yearly PR jig, and we've got our official picks for who's allegedly carried the year in gaming. And look, I'm not going to pretend this thing into glorified industry backpat stuffed with sponsor deals and PR optics, but even rigged carnivals have the moments. Here's the deal. Hollow Knight Silksong made Game of the Year shortlist. Let me say that again. Silksong is in. Team Cherry's long gestating side-scrolling soul crusher finally brought cover. And not only showed up, it's up for Game of the Year, Best Indie, Best Art Direction, Best Score. Basically, it's either second coming or this entire ceremony gets yeeted into skip. Because let me be absolutely blunt. If Silksong don't win at least one of these major categories, and I mean properly wins, not honourable mention in a podcast clip, this entire Game Award spectacle is going in review bin labelled Jeff Pay to Win Circus. And yeah, other nominees, solid in places. Hades is a titan. Death Stranding 2 will win Summit purely cause Kojima could sell wet socks to Sony execs. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is a critical darling nobody's actually playing. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is for masochists who like being stabbed by history. Donkey Kong Bonanza is, well, it's bloody Donkey Kong. But none of them carry the same underground heat Silksong does. This is a game people have been salivating for since first title stabbed its way into Metroidvania legend. It's art, it's challenge, it's atmosphere soaked in death and silk. And if it don't win, if some algorithmically pleasing committee design wankfest takes crown instead, then what's point or any of it? And don't come at me with, it's just an honour to be nominated. No, it bloody ain't. That's loser talk. You don't put 6 years of sweat and tears into a masterpiece and get politely clapped off stage while Fortnite wins best ongoing for 6th time in a row. So here's heads up, Keeley. We're watching. Silksong better walk away with something that matters, because if it don't, I'm reviewing whole show live with no but a sledgehammer and a bottle of Glenmorangie. Now let's end with something that actually makes me feel a little seen for once. Massive survey just dropped. 34,000 gamers across 22 countries, and it confirms what many of us have been shouting into the void for years. Most people still prefer single-player games over multiplayer. In UK, 58% prefer going solo. In US, 65%. In Japan, 63%. And that's not just old farts like me. Even in 25 to 34 range, over half would rather run solo than be dumped into some dopamine cage match with screaming teens and loot goblins. And honestly, I get it. I bloody get it. Multiplayer today isn't about fun anymore. It's about grind. It's about battle passes. It's about hoping to God your random team don't quit halfway through or shout slurs through a tin can mic. It's become work, except you're not paid in money. You're paid in digital skins and escalating misery. I didn't get into gaming to babysit randos or grind prestige ranks like it's a second job. I got in for escape, story, world, chill. You know what's relaxing? Losing yourself in haunting atmosphere like Hollow Knight. You know what's not? Queuing for a team deathmatch and ending up with a squad of twitchy toddlers on Monster. And don't give me, you're just getting old line. Reflexes aren't problem, it's design. Multiplayer games have been turned into glorified shopping malls. You're there to get addicted, not entertained. They're engineered like slot machines, with social pressure glued on top. Meanwhile, single-player games, proper ones, still know how to respect your time. No updates breaking your build, no meta dictating your choices, no idiot 12-year-old screaming cause you didn't pick right gun skin. Just you, your controller, and a story. This survey, it's not just a preference poll, it's a bloody whining show. Industry's been hammering live service multiplayer like it's only game in town. But most of us, we're not logging on to socialise, we're logging on to get away. And you know what's scary? Paint drying is currently more relaxing than half at multiplayer trash they're shipping out these days. That's not just burnout, that's betrayal. Magic's gone, replaced with dopamine harvesting dog shit. So here's a message for every dev out there thinking your Battle Royale clone is future. Maybe listen to actual players, build us stories, build us peace, build us games that don't need 5 friends, a headshot, and a mental breakdown to enjoy. Single player ain't dead, it's only bloody part of gaming that's still alive. And that's your Gaming Hellwire for today. Industry's trying to drown us in noise. Your job? You hit Signal. And right now, Signal's saying one thing. Gamers are done being milked. Like, subscribe and all that bollocks? Drop your comments and questions below. Especially if you still think Fortnite deserves a trophy. And I'll see you next time, you magnificent.